This is do or die. Feel it in my veins tonight.
Starting off with number 10, it's Way of the Hunter, an extremely beautiful hunting simulator. The game is oriented towards realism and it really does create some beautiful environments and depicts animals in a really realistic and interesting way. It's really cool. Like, you get a really big open world environment where you're sort of tracking prey, attempting to find animals that you're attempting to hunt. You also get co-op, which is pretty nice. If you're somebody who enjoys hunting and yet know some other people who enjoy hunting and, well, you're not really in a position to do some real hunting, get your buddies together and play this. I'm not gonna say I have direct experience with the game, but it's certainly, like, intriguing to me. I'm not big in hunting, but I like the idea of being able to kind of do it without, actually killing anything. Plus, you get a cool-looking car and traverse this. I really have to underscore how pretty the environments in this game are. It's enough to get me interested in something that I probably wouldn't normally be interested in. And that's saying a lot. Way of the Hunter is coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and PC on August 16th. And number 9 is Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, a game you've seen on PlayStation. But boy, oh boy, it's coming to PC. And ooh, this is something I am very excited for. Because, yes, it is nice to play the game on PlayStation, but, wow, will it be nice to play it on PC where I can really throw everything I've got at it in terms of graphics. On the PC, we are gonna be seeing ray-traced reflection. We'll be seeing the DLSS, the DLAA, the stuff that just makes incredibly good-looking games work very well. This version of Spider-Man is also going to support ultra-wide monitors. Not really my cup of tea. I kinda like 16:9. But I know there's a lot of people out there that like it. If you look at some of the screenshots and footage of this game on PC, it is stunning. I mean, this is a game that has been a looker on consoles. And, frankly, I think we're really just gonna see a gorgeous port that now people are gonna be able to mod and do whatever the hell they want with. Spider-Man Remastered coming to PC on August 12th. At number 8 is 2 Point Campus, coming to us from the same folks that did 2 Point Hospital, developers by the name of 2 Point Studios. Published by Sega. I don't know if you're familiar with 2 Point Hospital. It's kind of like a return to really old school theme park type games. Like, there's a lot of these right now. But 2 Point Campus is probably one of the better ones to look at, cause it looks like they've really done a lot in terms of ramping up the absurd stuff. And that's really, like, one of the bigger reasons to play these types of games. They're more or less city builders, except for they're limited to one specific thing, the theme park, a hospital, or in this case, a campus. And it looks like you're able to build a truly absurd, ridiculous campus. Frankly, some of what I've seen looks like Hogwarts, but like it's not magic-oriented. It's literally just an absurdist management sim that I think, if I'm honest, I'm of course going to play. This is the type of game I really enjoy. And 2 Point Hospital was really good. 2 Point Campus is coming to the PlayStations, the Xbox, Nintendo Switch and PC on August 9th. At number 7 is Sword and Fairy, Together Forever, also known as The Legend of Sword and Fairy 7. It's actually a game that came out on mobile in China and was so popular, they decided to port it over to the PlayStations as well as PC. And, wow, is it a pretty game. It's an action-adventure RPG. And the fact they brought it over here actually works pretty well on account. It's actually the 9th game in The Legend of Sword and Fairy, a series that's been going on for apparently quite a while in China. Like, the original game was actually released in 1995 on MS-DOS. But this one is actually set many years after the events of the rest of the series. So it's kind of functioning as a reboot for Chinese gamers. And as a first game in the series over here, again, it's called Sword and Fairy, Together Forever. Certainly doesn't scream sequel in any way. It's, like I said, got these crazy good-looking environments. And the game has been lauded for having a very good story. We don't really get a lot of Chinese RPGs over here and it really looks like a high-quality one. So I'm really interested to see exactly how it comes together. I will be playing it. It's landing on the PlayStations on August 4th. At number 6 is Destroy All Humans. 2 Reprobed, the second of the remakes of Destroy All Humans.
This is a series that I relish, I enjoy. Getting another one of these makes me very happy.
I love the first remake, because I loved the first game, and they left the first game intact.
Just gave us much better graphics. What is there to complain about? We're likely getting the same thing here. It's Destroy All Humans. 2. Takes place in the 60s. It's more absurd. It's gone all the great telekinesis mechanics and all that same stuff. Lots of new levels, pure chaos all over Earth. What is there not to like?
What's interesting is that Destroy All Humans, for all intents and purposes, is a pretty unique game. And when they hit with the first one, people wanted more, and they obliged.
Thankfully, they're remastering all of them.
My hope, of course, is that we see new Destroy All Humans
games in the future. We shall see.
These remakes, however, the Reprobed series, have been going very well. Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed is coming out on PC, PS5 and Xbox Series X August 30th.
At number 5 is Midnight Fight Express, an isometric brawler.
Now, for all intents and purposes, what this game looks like to me very much takes a lot of inspiration from older Streets of Rage-style games, as well as twin-stick shooters.
And if you want my opinion, that is a good couple of things to combine. It's got a great look to it. Good aesthetic. Looks like the fighting is fun. What's interesting, it's the story of somebody who got out of the criminal underworld and was lured back into it with the intent of preventing a citywide criminal takeover. There's 41 levels. They're not randomly generated. They're handcrafted.
Music comes from this artist called Noise Scream. I'm not really familiar with them, but the music and trailer's great. If I'm honest, if it plays out how it looks, this is gonna be a really solid game and something that takes up a lot of my time.
It scratches an itch that I definitely do have. Midnight Fight Express comes to PS4, Xbox One, PC and Switch August 23rd. At number 4 is Cult of the Lamb. Interestingly enough, is a cult building game.
You are a possessed lamb who was saved from certain death by a shadowy figure, let's say, and you basically have to build a cult.
You actually have to compete against other cults, too.
This is regarded as a game taking place in a land of false prophets.
It is a very interesting looking title in terms of its graphics.
In some ways, it kind of reminds me of a faster paced Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, but with the cult building elements, I don't know.
I really enjoy the graphics, though. The sort of cut out paper look. It really works. And Cult of the Lamb looks like a unique game. That's landing on PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch and PC August 11th.
And number 3 is Soul Hackers 2 coming to us from Atlas, as we all know, very good RPG making people.
It's the sequel to a very, very old game, Devil Summoner. Soul Hackers came out back in 1997 on the Sega Saturn, which, by the way, can we talk about how great the Saturn was?
It was a terrible console filled with amazing games, and it flopped so hard and it did not get the appreciation it deserved.
Soul Hackers 2 obviously continues the Devil Summoner series, which this is actually the 5th installment of Devil Summoners, also part of the Shin Megami Tensei franchise. So it is tangentially related to Persona, and it shows. It's an Atlas RPG. Like, that's what I want. I very much want an Atlas RPG. I'm pretty much on board automatically.
Soul Hackers 2 is coming to the PlayStations, Xbox and PC on August 26.
At number 2 is Thymesia, which is somewhere between what I want to call the arcade Soulsborne.
It's not quite Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, but it's not quite as slow and heavy as a Souls-like. You could probably call it a hack and slash, but it's so obviously oriented towards the Soulsborne formula as well. Thymesia is one that has a different look to it and a couple of interesting features, including the way that it does its health bar. When you attack, you initially take down a white health bar, which reveals a green health bar. The white health bar can regenerate to the top point that the green is.
Certain attacks affect the white more than the green. Certain attacks affect the green more than white. So there's a level of strategy here. I'm pretty interested in if it works.
It sounds a little complicated, but it also intrigues me. So it's one of those games I think is good to look out for, cause I do see a lot of potential in it.
Thymesia is coming to PC, PS5 and Xbox Series X.
And finally at number 1, the big Saints Row reboot that seems to be blending a lot from all of the various games and putting together a new world, a new type of target for satire, and from what I have heard thus far actually really good action now. Obviously, it takes a lot from Grand Theft Auto, that's what Saints Row is, but it seems like there's also a lot more here. Everything I've seen in previews I've thought looks delightful, looks just like really enjoyable nonsense, pure chaos, too. That's exactly what I want out of Saints Row. And for all intents and purposes, I'm pretty excited. It looks like it gets what makes Saints Row good and maybe understands it a little bit better than any one Saints Row game. If that ends up playing out, this is definitely gonna be a new series of Saints Row games, because I don't see how, if they've figured out a new special sauce, it's not gonna play out that way. Saints Row is coming to the PlayStation's Xbox and PC on August 23rd. Got a bonus game for you, 2 Pac-Man World R-A-Pac, a complete remake of Pac-Man World. Pac-Man World came out on the original PlayStation and, wow, it was one of those games that came out in 1999. It was kind of like a really good example of a platformer. Actually, like, if you remember, that was kind of a really good time for platformers, was the time immediately after both Crash Bandicoot and Mario 64. It's around the same time that Sonic Adventure came out, which was, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say flawed, but a really good example of taking a franchise into 3D. Pac-Man World was a game that is really nothing like Pac-Man. I mean, there's certain parts of it that really call to mind the old Pac-Man games, but for the most part it's a pretty straightforward platformer with a completely different move set, really creative levels, and they've redone it completely. They've got new graphics. They've overhauled all the levels. I don't know to what extent they've made the gameplay a little tighter, because like I said, it was a pretty good platformer, but I have a feeling they've modernized it a little bit. It's one of those games I kind of just wanna play again, and seeing it with much better graphics makes it a very high priority platformer for me, actually, and I'll be definitely checking that out when it lands on the PlayStation's Xbox and on Switch August 26th. That's all for today.